Good morning, Zimbabwe. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining us. You are live here on ZimI Facebook, and you're also live on Change Radio Facebook, and also on ZimI YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us tonight or today, depending on where you are. We are joined by the former president. I don't know how I can say that. To me, he is still my president, the Zctu president, Mr. Peter Mutasa, the former Zctu president. And he is here with us tonight to tell us all about the elections. You know that the Zctu had elections last week. There's a lot to discuss there. And we also want him to reflect on what has been and what it has been like in the past 5 years when he was at the helm of the Zctu. Mr. Mutasa, thank you so much for joining us. Please take a few minutes to greet our viewers and listeners.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for inviting me. It is always a pleasure to be on your platform. I wish to greet all Zimbabweans everywhere they are, in America, in UK, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, China. All of you, we love you here in Zimbabwe. And those who are in Zimbabwe, good evening. Those who are elsewhere, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. We all love you wherever you are.
Wow, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. To those that are just jumping on right now, those that are just joining us, we are talking to the former president of the Zctu, and he is here after the elections that happened last week. Mr. Mutasa, let's get right into it. You were at the helm of the Zctu, the biggest organization, workers' organization in Zimbabwe. How has it been? How was it like, the past 5 years, your reflections on that? There's a lot that happened with the Zctu, the demonstrations, massive demonstrations, all those things that you led. Please, can you reflect?
Well, I thank God for giving me that honor to lead the workers of Zimbabwe. I also thank the workers of Zimbabwe for granting me such an honor to lead the workers of Zimbabwe, full aware that I had nothing superior than the other comrades, but it is just their grace, God's grace, and also the choices of the workers that they granted upon me to lead them. Looking back, it was a torturous journey. When I was elected, I never thought that we'll go through such difficult periods. We had read about how Ian Smith and how the Rhodesian government was bad on Zimbabwean workers, was bad on citizens. We had not imagined that going into independence and through the so-called second dispensation, workers in Zimbabwe will still be terrorized, abused, victimized for standing up for their rights. So we faced many difficult challenges. We were arrested for doing nothing than demanding that we need good working conditions. We were put in prison for demanding that the tax regime in this country is too high and workers' disposable incomes are becoming thin. We were also brutalized. Our members were beaten all over the country. Our members were arrested. We also had our homes being destroyed. My home was broken into, all the windows destroyed. My nephew was abducted, tortured the whole night, simply for demanding justice and fairness and equity. I was poisoned last year. I'm still recovering, and all that simply for demanding social justice. We faced treason charges. It was a traumatic experience. Our families didn't know whether we were going to be jailed for up to 20 years or more because we were facing treason charges. Our kids were dropped from school. We took back our kids from school earlier than COVID. We were the first pioneers to start home schooling. Our kids were learning at home well before COVID-19 because it was no longer safe for our kids to be at school. So we faced hell under the regime, the government of Zimbabwe, and we look back and say it was worth it because we were standing for a cause. It was worth it because we are citizens. We belong to this country. We can't go anywhere. We have nowhere to go. It was worth it because we're exercising our constitutional and political rights and civic rights. It was worth it because the workers had given us that mandate that we must fight. So we look back and say, this was a torturous journey. But in that torturous journey, we managed to stand up, speak up truth to power, to shake the country. In 2018, October 11, we demonstrated against salaries, poor salaries, and high taxation. In January 2019, we had a massive demonstration against cost of living generally and specifically the cost of fuel that was going to also fuel spiral cost of goods and services. It came with its own challenges. People were brutalized. We had just witnessed the 1st August shooting, which happened outside our offices, and our officer was also hurt in that shooting. So we're quite courageous that after the 1st of August, we were the first group to stand up and to challenge government in October 2018. But we also then realized that by that courageous collective action, we got some marginal gains. For example, for the first time since 1996, the government of Zimbabwe yielded and allowed back, reintroduced the minimum wage. Now it's nugatory. It's useless. But back then, we managed to lift a number of workers who were earning far below the minimum wage. We also got the tripartite negotiating forum. I know government was thinking that it can use it for cooling us off, but it didn't work. But we got that back. At international level, we referred many cases against the government of Zimbabwe, and all of them, we won them at ILO level, and the government of Zimbabwe was found to have violated international conventions and also violated the conventional labor rights of workers. So yes, there we are, all of us, our families, our comrades, our colleagues, we're part of that journey, and we are proud of what we did under a military rule. Zimbabwe is basically a de facto military rule. constitutionalism and the constitution are no longer functioning in this country. We have an undeclared martial law. So that was an experience.
Yes, indeed, an experience. And I remember vividly the demonstrations, the January demonstrations, where I think it was 2 days of massive demonstrations in Zimbabwe. And I mean, we can't forget that. But anyway, moving on, Mr. President, what happened? I know people want to hear this. What happened at the elections? Is Zanu-PF now in control of Zimbabwe's largest labor movement? We hear, I know maybe you might not want to talk about this, but we hear that hundreds of thousands of dollars were thrown into the Zctu elections.
Right. So firstly, as a matter of tradition and in terms of the trade union culture, we don't debate issues without the other comrades being available so that they defend themselves or they also have a right of response. So I've been nurtured and trained in the trade union movement, and I wouldn't want to be unfair to our comrades. Then secondly, it is also a trade union culture that when we get into this position, we must always be aware that after certain periods, and in our case, 5 years, you will go back to conference, and in that process, you may be re-elected or you may not be re-elected. So from that perspective, we want to take a view that Congress came and whatever happened. In politics, you don't sleep. If you sleep a little bit, you may be left behind by things. So at times you sleep, despite all the other issues that could have happened. We now have a Congress result. I congratulated the new comrades. I wished them well. The only challenge that we now have is that after the conference, it was Zanu-PF that was at the forefront of congratulating and also denigrating me and my team, mocking us. And we have had a nasty experience on Twitter with the Jamwanda Twitter handle, which is popularly known as George Charamba, the spokesperson for the president and the deputy chief secretary. And he has clearly stated that they liberated Zctu from Peter. What that means, we don't know. He was also very clear that they've got an interest in the Zctu. We are regarding these two issues as, we are regarding this in two ways. The first thing is that, one, they could be blackmailing the new leadership. If anything could have happened, they are simply telling the new leadership that, remember, we are watching you. The second aspect is they could be just smearing the new leadership, or they could be warning. Thirdly, they could be warning the new leadership that you can't, because Jamwanda said you can't mess up with Zanu-PF. If you do so, you should remember, you should be prepared for a long night. So it is a very serious warning, and I'm waiting to hear how our new comrades will respond to that. But if it was me, and during our tenure, we'll quickly rebuke them and put forward our clear message that you can't capture us, you can't capture Zctu. Whether Zctu is now under Zanu-PF, I doubt that Zanu-PF has achieved that feat, because Zctu is not us, the leadership. Zctu is those people who are working in Wanke, those people who are working in Mutorashanga, the people who are working in Dotito, and all the other growth points and all the other cities. I don't think those people, going by what I know, the interactions that I've had with workers, one, and also going by the election results, you would see that in any election result, wherever there are a group of workers, the opposition MDC will win elections. So I don't think there is a contract between the workers of Zimbabwe and Zanu-PF. And I know, because we resisted we rejected Zanu PF capture when I was still in leadership with our comrades. We rejected the offers that they tried to give us of farms and mining claims. We rejected all those things. And for that, we faced serious reprisal. We faced serious abuse and victimization. So ZANU-PF may enjoy that they have a hand in ZCTU, but that is temporal because the workers will defend their organization. And again, ZCTU doesn't just serve the formally employed people. It serves a broad spectrum of stakeholders. Chief Soso, you are a supporter of ZCTU, I know. Many other people like you in the diaspora locally, they support the ZCTU even if they are not members of a particular union. Those people will not allow ZANU-PF to capture the ZCTU. But we know ZANU-PF has got an agenda to further and to achieve a one-party state, in this country. So they've been trying by all means to muzzle and to destroy any centers of resistance or dissent. And traditionally, they focus on the labor movement, they focus on the churches, they focus on the student unions. We've seen what they've done at Lupane. There, I was talking to Zinasu comrades, where they installed one Munangagwa against the will and the wishes of the workers. So they can do so brazenly. So they are targeting the trade unions to try and co-opt them or to capture them outrightly. The Minister of Labor was saying to the new leadership, let us cooperate. Yes, we want to cooperate, but the best cooperation is to do what workers want, to give workers decent lives, to give workers decent wages and decent conditions. So I think ZANU-PF has not yet and cannot capture ZCTU. It can capture individuals, but those individuals will be dealt with by the workers of Zimbabwe.
Wow, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mutasa, for that clarification, because people are worried. Even myself, I was worried, but I think I have explained it very well there. But I know MDC supporters in particular are worried because we all know that the ZCTU is the mother. It's called the mother of the MDC alliance. It has its roots firmly in ZCTU. What does this mean now between, in the relationship between the MDC Alliance and the ZCTU? Do you think something is going to change? And also in the context of the convergence that President Chamisa is talking about, and I know you are a big fan of the convergence, do you think your colleagues will be on board with the convergence?
Firstly, I chaired a political policy conference of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions in 2018. And the position that came out clearly in that conference was that we need to re-establish and to reinvigorate our relationship with our party. We termed it our party in that conference. And we said our party is the MDC. There was a question about which MDC because there was those cases in the Supreme Court. The policy conference made it very clear that we will not listen to the judges, the 8 or 3 judges in the chambers, because we don't believe that the judiciary is independent. We said we will listen to the views of and choices of the citizens. The MDC that will be followed by the citizens who are in the main, the working class. We will then recognize that and work with it as our party or as the offshoot of our party that we formed in 1999. And remember, we are unapologetic that we formed the MDC in 1999. We formed it for a specific purpose. Workers were sick and tired of fighting at the workplace. They wanted to build political power through a political vehicle that will fight for broader issues like democracy, constitutionalism, that will fight for rule of law, that will fight for spaces in the cabinet, spaces in the parliament, where things happen, so that they advance the interests and rights of workers. So that has not changed from 1999 as far as I'm concerned. From the policy conference of 2018, we were very clear. And from that policy conference, we went on to the General Council, and we made a decision in 2018 that we're going to support MDC Alliance in the elections. We said we're going to support MDC Alliance because of many issues, but chiefly one, that if ZANU-PF gets in power, we prophesied that it would amend the constitution. We also projected that a ZANU-PF government will introduce hardships to the workers through austerity measures. We also said the ZANU-PF government will be brutal to the working class. And all those projections became true. Workers are now in misery, only equivalent maybe to 1960s or 1950s under colonial rule. So we think that the umbilical cord between the working class or Zctu specifically, or workers in general, and the opposition MDC alliance now has not been cut. We cannot wish away the results of the 2018 elections, which clearly showed that the majority of those who are in cities and working are in favor of MDC alliance. Whatever has happened, the kangaroo nocturnal judgments, whatever has happened with the puppets that have come up through various other forces, should be analyzed under the lens that we are aware as workers. We are very conscious. We know that ZANU-PF is trying to achieve a one-party state. The disturbances in the MDC will also be disturbances in Zctu and in any other social movement. So we are not disturbed. One thing that I want to stress is ZANU-PF may capture individuals, but ZANU-PF cannot capture the workers. The workers are very clear. We may have some differences with the MDC, but here and there. But what is clear is, as of now, the workers' choice is the MDC, and we will definitely see that again in 2023. The projections are clear. The working class, the workers of Zimbabwe, will vote the opposition.
Wow, wow, that's very comforting, very refreshing indeed. But I don't think there is anything refreshing at the Commercial Workers Union. Someone is saying my
sorry,
volume is very low.
Your volume, Chief, is quite low.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe let me just get this. What's going on, Mr. Mutasa, at the Commercial Workers Union?
Oh, the Commercial Workers Union, there's some challenges there. Over the years, we were trying to build unity in the Commercial Workers Union, but it appears the leaders there, they continuously fight over the control of the union. As we were going for conference, there were two clear factions that were fighting in court. So we couldn't agree at Zctu to allow the other faction to come for conference because of the politics of conference. But then that faction has now won, and the people who participated in our conference, the people who were favored by our other comrades, have now lost the case. They've been interdicted from claiming to be Commercial Workers Union. So we are saddened. I'm saddened because ever since I've been leading the Zctu, my thrust was on uniting the working class. So when we see workers fighting for positions, my heart sinks. I had many issues that I could have challenged about the conference. I could be in court challenging the conference. But because we agree, we understand that in our ideology, we should let workers have a unified trade union movement. So we let things be water under the ground, under the bridge. I am praying that the comrades at Commercial Workers Union will also heed all our advices and calls for unity, and they will unite. but we are saddened by the divisions there.
That's very, very sad. But Mr. Mutasa, can we still expect demonstrations? I think Zimbabweans would want to hear this. Can we still expect those demonstrations from ZCTU? And can your union, I know you are Secretary General of Zimbabwe, can it still have mass protests on its own or with other like-minded organizations within the ZCTU?
So no one in this country will take away the right of workers to protest, because workers led the liberation struggle of this country. It was Benjamin Burombo, it was Joshua Nkomo, Charles Kadali, way back before Zanu PF was formed, way back before ZAP was formed. It was trade unionists who formed these nationalistic parties. And when trade unionists were fighting back then, they were very clear that you cannot continue to fight for the so-called bread and butter, which is one issue that the other comrades that were not for in favor of my candidature were raising, that Mutasa, you are politicizing the trade union movement. And my response was simple, and it remains a simple response, that the trade union movement is a political organization. We formed trade unions so that we build political power for workers so that they can withstand the political power of politicians and government, so that they can withstand and challenge the political power of capital with all its lawyers, with all its accountants, with all its HR practitioners and its money. So a trade union is a political organization. And also, we want to inculcate political education, which is what the role that I may likely play going forward in workers, that we should not be indifferent to politics. We should also not be aloof. Everything that workers are facing now is a result of political decisions of men and women in cabinet, a result of political decisions of men and women in army, police, or the state arms and parliament. So workers, you don't decide what to eat. It is the politicians that decide that you should have soya chunk every day. You are not deciding to go to Mpezanamo and buy second-hand clothes for your family. You want to buy new clothes. You want to go to Dubai and buy new electrical gadgets. It is politicians that are depriving you of that opportunity. It's politicians that have devalued your lifestyle from what you used to enjoy when you used to go to Greater Mines, Topman, Modic, and Edgar's. It is politicians that have made wrong political decisions that now sees all of us teachers, nurses, doctors at Kotamai Boutique, at Mpezanamo, and all over the country. So workers cannot ditch and put aside their political rights. It is a political right to choose a political party of our choice. It is a constitutional right to protest peacefully and to demonstrate. So what I want to tell everyone is that workers of Zimbabwe will continue to protest and demonstrate, and that will happen. If any leader wants to take away those constitutional rights of workers, workers will demonstrate against the government, against employers, and against those captured leaders. So yes, we are going to see a lot of things. Currently, we are already talking about the general strike. We are waiting for the commanders, for the leaders, for the comrades who are in leadership to give a nod. We are talking about the general strike as the only way, because teachers are suffering. They're earning less than $100. Doctors who were earning $2,400 during Mugabe's era, they're earning $200. Nurses were earning around $800. They are earning less than $150. But we still have domestic workers who are earning 12 loaves of bread, $12, 9 loaves of bread, $9. We have those in agriculture who are earning less than 12 loaves of bread. We have the minimum wage, which is currently only worth 10 loaves of bread. So the situation is dire. There's no government that can prevent people from protesting. The only way to prevent people from protesting is to have social progress, build back the education system, build back our clinics. We need to have guaranteed primary and health care, build back the working class earnings, and have people enjoy. When people are at Merek enjoying their salaries, when people are in Victoria Falls enjoying their salaries, a president of a country will be sleeping peacefully at State House. But when people are earning $10, $30, $60, and these are professionals, no president should expect people to be silent and suffering and dying in their homes. So protests are coming.
I'm muted. Before I ask you the last question here, let me bring in Barbara here, herself a veteran trade unionist. Barbara, do you want to comment on the ZCTU elections and your view as a former president of a union within the ZCTU? And then maybe if you also have questions on Mr. Mutasa, you can throw one or two before I ask the last question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief Soshe. Greetings to my president, Comrade Peter Gift Mutasa. Greetings to all our viewers and listeners that are listening at this juncture. Yes, that was a very powerful discussion, Chief Soshe and Comrade Peter. What I can safely say about the Congress of ZCTU, I think I concur with almost everything what that Peter Mutasa said. So the Congress came and went, Chief. Whatever happened, we know there are a lot of things that happened, Chief. People see, people talk, but what I can safely say is that background it's not easy. It's not easy as people think. ZCTU cannot be captured easily because ZCTU is the people. Those people, that the delegates that were there in the conference, they were less than 200. And ZCTU has got thousands and thousands of members. So those thousands that did not attend the Congress, Chief, ndo pane nyaya. Background pakaoma, background haritsikike. You can't tell workers to throw away MDC when they know they formed MDC. And there was a reason why MDC was formed in 1999. And I've always told people that when MDC was formed, the memorandum came from President Tsvangirai's office when he was Secretary General of ZCTU. May his dear soul rest in peace. It's a memorandum with a ZCTU letterhead showing that we then invited other stakeholders, like what President Chamisa is doing now. The convergence issue, the convergence issue yakatanga from ZCTU when they were forming MDC wakati asingaiti chinhu chevashandi but so the broader alliance of stakeholders formed MDC. It's now MDC alliance. It was MDC, you know, there were so many breakaways, but the real MDC is where the people are. The ZCTU resonates with the people, is the people's project. MDC is the people's project. The reason why it was called a movement is because it's something that is moving achipere until we attain power. As long as tisnakuana independence, it will remain a movement. So those people who think as MDC is finished because Peter Mutasa lost, it says that they should just forget. It's actually it's gonna be worse because he's now free from everything, so he can do more harm than what he was doing when he was the president. People don't know that, Chief. So the Congress issue is what now water under the bridge. We know that being the former president of Commercial Workers Union, my team, the one that has just won this award, it was my case for your own information. So they were denied access into the Congress They were supposed to be affiliated, but because these people had sinister movements, they knew the team was going to support Peter Mutasa. They were not allowed to affiliate to Zctu, regardless of the fact that they have a bigger number of members that are subscribed to them. But I think going forward, now they are going to be accepted. And like I said, the General Council, which makes decisions in the Zctu, they are now going to be there. They are also going to make decisions that resonate with the people, decisions that resonate with the workers. So it's gonna be tough, Chief, because the people who were in the Congress are not the people that sit in the General Council. The General Council is a council where also the members that lost also sit. So it's gonna be very difficult. It's not Kutivabisco total. They still remain members of the General Council. They'll be there when the decisions are made. And when the wrong decisions are made, when unlawful decisions are made, then there's always a redress. The costs are there. And I don't think we are going to reach that far, because they know kuti Simbare one, Simbare Zctu riri muwanhu, hariko kuCongress. Congress is just an event. The most disheartening thing, Chief, is Congress is supposed to pass my resolution. The main issue about the Congress are not the elections. Elections ndeyekupedzesera. There are issues, pane ma resolutions anofanirwa kupaswa akatariswa maringe nemusangano 5 years kuti zvakaitwa neGeneral Council zvanga zviri right here, pane zvoda kuoverturnwa here, pane zvoda kuappruvwa here, pane kuchinjwa kweconstitution. Was there anything in the constitution that needed to be changed? But the most unfortunate part is people were focusing on the outcome of the Congress, which is the elections, and it's very unfortunate. If I can also, being a woman, I was the national secretary of the women's committee, and we made resolutions. The last Congress, we said, put every elective Congress here at Zctu, we want 50-50. We want the elected leadership here at Zctu, they are 8. So we're saying, put 8, panofana kuita 4 madzimai. But the unfortunate part of, as a woman, I'm very, very much disappointed, Chief, because only one woman got in. And the same woman was there in the previous committee, but she failed to put adonze wamwe wakadzi. So to me, the issue of gender equality, once you become selfish and you want to be at the helm, then you say gender, we are very far from reaching the gender equality, because having one woman out of 8 men, and it's not even 8, because there are also trustees, Chief, that were appointed. So out of 3 trustees, only 1 woman was appointed. So to me, as a gender specialist, as an advocate for the women's rights, to me, that Congress was a shame. It was a failure, because women did not get in. We want women, more women, to be part and parcel of the decision making in the Zctu, in the MDC, in every organization. This is the song, Chief. And to say kuti it's a plus, or it's a good thing kuti we have got a first female president in the history of Zctu kubva zvayakaformwa 1981. She is the first president, and I would want to congratulate her for that. But when it comes to gender equality, it's a failure, because we did not attain the 50% of the women in the elected leadership.
Okay, but very quickly, 1 minute. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Are you happy with your leadership? I know you are happy she's a woman, but are you happy that she's now the Zctu president? Very briefly.
That one, Chief, I cannot share my personal views to say whether I'm happy or I'm not happy. What I want to see, I'll be very happy if she continues advocating for women's rights, if she continues representing women, if she continues representing workers. Now it's no longer about women, it's all the workers. She now has to embrace all the workers, the young workers, the women and other workers. So I would only be happy if she continues to do that, or if she does that. Failure to do that, then history will also judge her. What happened in this Congress will also happen to her in the next Congress, because this is what people don't know. In chief, when I was groomed by Wanatrangirai. Wanatrangirai, they believed in consistency. They believed in consistency to say leadership because we are not for positions. We are fighting a cause that needs people that are bold, people that are articulative. You know, people like Mutasa, they were not supposed to be chucked out. You know, they were supposed to embrace him. And the reason, when I was asking people, why do you want to remove Mutasa? You know, the reason that I was getting, you know, unotoona kuti apa ndezvemunhu audzirwa zvekuita achamudi nekuti akazombodai things that were malicious, things that were not, and then I would sit with them. No, that thing never happened. When I was there, what you are saying never happened. So you could see kuti vanhu vakafidwa nenhema. Peter Mutasa did not lose. It's because people were fed nenhema and people were easily bought. But tell you what, people are soon going to realize what they lost. Peter Mutasa was an asset to the Zctu, and it's unfortunate kuti people will tichashamisika. Izvozvi tichinawo chief, you'll be shocked, you'll be achagrebewa by the international community what they did to Wellington Chibebe. You'll be shocked. Tinenge takuwaonera kunze uku takutochaya kuti ndo vanhu vaya vataimboshanda navo vaya vatorwa, because his work, you need to take it from me. Wherever I went outside of the country, they would ask about Peter Mutasa. They would just comment to say, he's a very brilliant guy, he's very articulate, what, blah, blah. So if you see the people, if you see international people commenting about it, avanenge vachireva havafanani nesu chief kuti tinobhabhadzirana tichireverana.
Okay, looks like Barbara is having network challenges there, but let me go to Mr. Mutasa. You have taken a long break, but we are coming to the end of our program here. To all the viewers and listeners who are with us, we are talking to Mr. Peter Mutasa, the former Zctu president. And now this question, Mr. President, have we seen the last of your bravery against Zanu PF? As Barbara is saying, are we going to lose you to the some international organization, and then you move to another country, USA, UK, and then you leave the battlefield? Because that would be a terrible loss. From here, where is Mr. Peter Mutasa going? Are we going to see you in joining mainstream politics in the MDC, for instance? From here, where do we go?
Right. So I just want to start by clarifying one aspect. Yeah. We should not throw the bathwater with the baby in terms of what has happened. I liked the balanced view of Barbara. There are also good developments. For the first time in this conference, we had more women because we amended our constitution in the past, and now for every delegate from every affiliate, there should be a woman and a youth. So we got more women and more youth in the conference. Demographics are changing. Unions are becoming younger. So now we also have a youthful leadership. Some of the youngsters that we groomed. So it's not all gloomy. We also have some advantages and some the good things that came out of that conference. We also, like Barbara said, are celebrating that we now have a first female president. Those are gains that we should not lose sight of. I know with the youth, there is a lot of work that we still need: ideological training, grooming, and the like, and mentorship. And that is our role as the former leaders. In unions, we don't believe that we should remain there. I was joking with comrades and saying, Zanu PF seems to be enjoying and mocking me for accepting the results. And they confirming are they confirming that whether they are going to leave in 2023, they will refuse to leave the State House? And that is a sad indictment. In our country, the most biggest problem that we have is the refusal of fair and free elections and election results by the ruling party. And that has caused us many losses, loss of lives and a lot of other losses. So I'm surprised that people will say, why did you accept the results? We accept the results because we are Democrats. We accept the results because we are in a culture of democracy and we are not a dictatorship. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not gloomy. Let's look at the youngsters. Let's mentor them. Let's assist them to stand on their feet. And that is the role that we are going to play. Those who heed the call and the advice are going to be successful. Those who don't, the workers will penalize and punish them. So let's go forward. But where to?
Yes.
I believe that I'm a social justice fighter or activist. I'm taking time to look at the options that are available. Is it politics? Is politics not crowded? Is it not too rough? I don't think I'm a real politician per se. I've got a soft heart. That's why even we allow some of these processes in Congress to pass when you are chairing and say, no, for the good of the organization, let's proceed. But I'm hearing a lot of advices, some saying, let's go politics. I'm thinking that I should also consider academia. Is it time for a PhD? Probably. And we come and fuse our experience in trade unions and the book experience and build social movements. I believe that there are many streams and all of us have got a role to play. We can't all be Nelson Chamisa, very articulate and very charismatic and leading an opposition party. We can also support Nelson Chamisa as just political commentators. So
And
currently,
Peter
I'm
Mutasa for member of parliament.
currently I'm just a political commentator. You will see me commenting on a lot of issues. And my main focus currently is to tell workers, I want to ask workers difficult questions. Barbara says, I'm now free. Yes, I'm free. I'm enjoying a freedom away from organizational constraints. There are questions that I could not talk about, issues that I could not ask. But now I want to ask workers, for example, why would a teacher who was earning 520 vote Zanu PF, the same government that has reduced your salary to 120? I think that is a critical role that someone should play, someone who understands the workforce and labor issues. We should be asking ourselves, why is it that workers are not politicized? Why are workers ditching their section 67 of the Constitution, your political rights, and say trade unions must be apolitical? I'm very clear, very, very clear. I've been practicing trade unionism since 1998 from the shop floor. I'm very clear that when we recruit workers, we don't ask you about the party where you come from. We don't mind whether it's NPF, Ndo, Malambo, or whatever. But we are very clear that the trade union movement should at any particular time take political position independently through their own democratic structures and processes. So we can and we must inculcate that knowledge that a union can say on this election, we are supporting this party because of 1, 2, 3 things that are in their manifesto. So I want to engage workers and say, why are you not registering to vote? Why are you not calling your families to register to vote? And if you are registered, whom are you going to vote for? Do you understand that the government currently is the source of your problems? Those are issues that I could not say and could not engage on when I was constrained by an official position. But now, as a political commentator and as an activist, as a social justice activist, I can freely play that role. And I think even if I don't become an MP, I can ensure that through engaging workers throughout the country, we can ensure that the rightful MPs get in the positions. For some of us in trade union, we don't look at personal gain. we forsaken other benefits that we could have gained. We delayed our education, we delayed our getting rich. So we are not concerned about in a particular place where you get a 4x4 or where you get a hefty salary. We are concerned about putting the right people in the right places so that workers and citizens flourish and be free. So until we get freedom, until we get justice, equity, and social respect and mutual respect in this country, we will continue to be social justice activists.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Mutasa, for that. There we are, Zimbabweans. I think most of the questions that you had. Okay, there is a question there. Chief Social asked if PTUZ is affiliated to Zctu. I'll let you answer that.
PTUZ is not yet. It was about to be affiliated. I know what the outcome of conference may have some challenges, but we are going to sit with the new leadership and focus on ensuring that we have unions like PTUZ. We want PTUZ. We want ATUZ. Because these are independent unions. They've proven that they are independent. We also want those unions that are not clearly independent, like Zctu, for example. We want them, but we also want the independent unions to be part of the Zctu. And I'm sure the incoming leadership are very much alive of that balance, of the need of that balance, so that we have PTUZ, we have ATUZ, we have Zctu. Let's build, we are thinking of building the unit of workers. And I'm glad the little discussions that I've had so far with the incoming leadership, they are committing to build a united labor force, despite our political affiliations, despite our ethnic backgrounds, despite our different ideologies, but then try to build one ideology that workers must be free in this country. Workers must work in a democratic workplaces and country, and workers must be free from any injustice.
Well, Mr. Mutasa, we want to thank you so much for gracefully accepting what happened at the Congress, despite everything that we saw, that we read about in the newspapers, that the elections were heavily influenced by lots of money that came from Zanu PF. You were aware of that, you saw all that, but you are still here gracefully accepting your exit from the Zctu presidents. You know, it takes a lot for someone to accept that. I wish Zanu PF can take a leaf from your leadership qualities. That's exactly the leaders that we are looking for. And for my viewers and listeners out there, I think you've been comforted by what Mr. Mutasa said. The man is still here. The man is still fighting Zanu PF. He is still standing with the people, on the side of the people. And he also assured us that the Zctu cannot be captured. Individuals cannot be captured. But the Zctu itself is still a people's organization. And we'll continue to see the Zctu fighting along the side of the people. And as for the convergence lives on because, as you said, it cannot be captured. It will still continue to stand with the people, and the people are also with the MDC Alliance, and the relationship between Zctu and the MDC Alliance lives on. We want to thank you for all that, for all those clarifications, Mr. President. We'll keep talking to you and see where you will be next month. But please do not leave Zimbabwe until Zimbabwe is free. We need comrades like you. And listen to that person who is saying, Chief Social, America, but anyway, I think a lot of people will agree with me. We need people like you. Your bravery, what you have shown in the past 5 years, we have never seen it. We want to thank you so much for that. Just last few words, and then we will call it a day.
So lastly, I want to talk about something that you mentioned. We don't believe we are fighting Zanu PF. we are fighting ZANU-PF practices. If ZANU-PF were today change and be democratic, we will respect people in ZANU-PF and their party. If ZANU-PF were to change today and stop crony capitalism, where the few families, 5 families, are now probably controlling the half of the economy, petroleum, banks, and everything, they are now hipped on one family. If it stops corruption, if it brings rule of law, if it respects constitutional rights, we were going to respect it and even leave it as it is and even vote for it. So we are fighting the vices, the practices, and what has become the character or characterization of ZANU-PF. And we say this because some of our comrades who are in trade unions, they support ZANU-PF, and at times they ask, why don't you support, why do you hate our party? We hate its deeds. We hate the massacres that we have witnessed. We hate the brutalities that we have witnessed. So that is what we don't want to see. We want to see justice, freedom, constitutionalism, and prosperity for all of us, and not just one family or one name. Nekuita mbinga wani munyika yese nenge echitora kunana nasa echitora zvinhu kwese echitora. We don't want that, and this is what we are fighting. So we are fighting a system. Why this is critical, Chief? ZANU-PF can decide to change a name at its conference. It is allowed to change its name. So what will we be fighting? Will we still continue to fight ZANU-PF? We will continue to fight the misdeeds and the injustice. But to the workers of Zimbabwe, lastly, I want to thank them. It was a great honor to lead such a very good movement and a robust movement. I want to thank them for the support that they gave us. We were in prison and they would come for solidarity at the courts. I want to thank them for the prayers. I know we could have been killed, but people were praying, and the majority of them are people who don't even know us, who were wishing us well. I want to thank you. I also want to lastly congratulate once again publicly the incoming Zctu leadership. Some of them I've had a hand in identifying them and in mentoring them to an extent. I wish them well. I want to leave a legacy where we have democratic processes and change leadership democratically, and then nature becoming the incoming leadership. And we also wish them to continue with the struggle. We are going to be there supporting them, defending them when they are unfairly treated, but also criticizing them as comrades when they go off track. So we are together for Zimbabweans. Let the struggle continue until we are free. It takes courageous citizens. Wherever you are, let's put our hands on the deck, our shoulders on the deck. We shall overcome. We will get freedom in this country. We will get democracy in this country. We are going to enjoy the fruits of this nation that God gave us freely.
Wow. Thank you very much. This is really very encouraging. We have seen, the epitome of good leadership that you are displaying, allowing transfer of power gracefully like that. ZANU-PF needs to sit down with you and you give them a few notes. Let me take this opportunity to thank our viewers across the world for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your presence here. And Mr. Mutasa, once again, thank you and good luck into whatever you're going to be doing. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good night. God bless you.
Good night. Be blessed too.
Simba Simba